This video was thanks to viewers like you and the American Crusader who recommended this very build. Now, let's go ahead and talk about the more superior Kylo Ren. Greetings, my dear viewers. It is I, Drahon, and welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons Character Conversion National Star Wars Day. Well, that's not entirely true. I actually missed National Star Wars Day. That was 2 days ago on a Saturday. Today is actually Revenge of the 6th. I don't exactly know if it's meant to be the 5th or the 6th, but I do know that the 6th does sound a bit more like Sith, the main antagonistic group of the Star Wars franchise. And today we are taking a look at Jacen Solo, also known as Darth Caedus. I gotta say, this was a very interesting build, and there were some lore connections that I wasn't aware of. Some canonical pieces of information that were not talked about after the original 6 movies. Mostly that somebody has a sister on one of the two sides of Jacen's parents. I think it was Han Solo's sister that was mentioned, but anyway, lots of great information about Star Wars in the novels, which aren't canonical to the Disney versions of the movies, so take that with what you will. But Darth Caedus is indeed a canonical character within the Star Wars franchise, and is the son of Han Solo and Princess Leia. And he has a twin. I don't quite remember her name, but anyway, let's go ahead and get started with our stats. Strength is going to be a 12, Dexterity is going to be a 14, Jacen is said to be rather fast, able to take on many Jedi at once. He's not faster than his aunt, but he definitely is one of the faster Force users, even in utilizing Force speed when he deems it necessary. Next is Constitution at a 13, Intelligence will be an 11 at this point in time, with Wisdom and Charisma also being a 12. We are going with Human Variant for our race, which is going to increase our Constitution and Intelligence each by 1. We're going to take the Animal Handling skill. This is because one of the many Force abilities that differs between Jace and a typical Force user is that he and his twin were able to manifest their powers very early on. And also, Jacen was able to speak with animals through the Force, understanding their thoughts and making himself understood to them. He was even able to make friends with these animals, and convincing them to do as he wished. So with that being said, I decided to go with the feat of Magic Initiate, taking the Bard spell list. This will give us access to 2 cantrips from the Bard spell list, Friends and Prestidigitation. I went with this spell because another ability that Jacen was able to use was being able to not only heat up, but also slow molecules down. So he could either make molecules move fast to make things hot, or slow them down and cause water to freeze, which we can see with the spell Prestidigitation. And to go with this communication with animals, I went with, of course, Speak with Animals. I would have tried to go for some other spells that worked with this ability, like Beast Bond or even Charm Beast, but that would require some higher level spells in a class that we will not be using. Next is background. I was very tempted to go Noble, since Jason is in fact the son of Princess Leia. But I decided to go instead with Knight of the Order, since he was a Jedi and also a war hero, taking up the mantle as leader of a Jedi squadron after his brother died. So, Knight of the Order, this will give us the proficiencies in Persuasion and Arcana, as well as one gaming set or musical instrument of choice, as well as one additional language. We also get access to Knightly Regard. Going on to our class, we are going to start things off with Fighter. We're going to have a D10 hit die, starting hit points of 10 plus a Constitution modifier. Additional hit points will be 1d10 plus a Con modifier per fighter level after the first. Next, for our proficiencies, we are getting all armor and shields, simple and martial weapons. Saving throws will be Strength and Constitution. For our skills, we're going to go with Acrobatics and Athletics, typical skills for a Force user. Next is our fighting style. We're going with Superior Technique. Evasive Footwork will be our maneuver. I decided to go with this because Jason has been stated to be an excellent fencer and a prominent duelist once he became a Jedi. So we are going to have many different feats and abilities that will tie in to Jace and this fencing ability, which is his fighting style. We also get access to Second Wind. Next is going to be our multi-class, which is going to be Rogue, giving us a D8 hit die and extra hit points equal to 1d8 plus our Con modifier per Rogue level. For our proficiencies, we'll get access to Thieves' Tools and the skill of Insight. I decided to go with Insight because Jason is an empath. He knows how other people feel, which is why for our expertise we are going with Persuasion and Insight. We also get access to Sneak Attack and Thieves' Cant. At second level Rogue we get access to Cunning Action, and third level Rogue we are going with our Force ability being of the Roguish archetype Arcane Trickster. This will give us access to a spell casting ability which uses our Intelligence modifier, and we get Mage Hand Legerdemain. This is our Force powers, which we will be getting more Force powers when we go further in our fighter class, but this is how we are going to start things off. Not to mention, the Rogue does actually depict his speed. It shows off how fast he is in combat. So we wanted to make sure we had that as well. Moving on to level 2 fighter, we get access to Action Surge, and level 3 fighter, we get the martial archetype that is indeed Jedi related, and that is Psi Warrior. This will give us access to Psionic Power, giving us our Protective Field, our Psionic Strike, and Telekinetic Movement. And the Protected Field is canon to Jason's character as well, since he was able to bring up a Force field using the Force. Next is level 4 Rogue. We'll get access to the feat of Telepathic. He is stated to have a telepathic link with his sister, being able to communicate through the Force, but not only that, but he was able to do a mind meld with his squadron, being able to communicate telepathically through the Force with each member of that squadron, but also being able to act through his teammates, being able to jump from his mind to each one of theirs. A record of a 17th soldier mind meld or battle meld, which is definitely a flex for sure. Going on to 4th level fighter, we're going to go ahead and increase our wisdom by 2 points, making it a 14. At level 5 fighter, we get our extra attack. Level 6 fighter, we get another feat. We're going with martial adept to get our maneuvers in parry and riposte. At level 5 rogue, we get access to uncanny dodge. Level 6 rogue gets expertise. We're going with athletics and acrobatics this time. Level 7th fighter gets access to telekinetic adept. This will give us access to psi-powered leap. This is basically our force jump and telekinetic thrust to be able to move some objects around with the force, or even people. At level 7th rogue, we get access to evasion. Level 8th rogue, we get access to our ability score improvement. Go ahead and increase your dexterity by 2 points. Level 9th rogue gets magical ambush, which is pretty neat. Our targets for our spells who do not see us will have disadvantage on those saving throws. Moving on to 10th level rogue, we get a feat. We're going with athlete. This will let us stand up from prone by only using 5 feet of movement. Climbing does not cost any extra movement. And we are able to jump by only doing 5 feet of movement instead of the normal 10 for our running long jump and running high jump. At level 11th rogue, we get access to reliable talent. Level 12th rogue gets access to an ability score improvement. Go ahead and round off your dexterity and your intelligence. At level 13th rogue, we get access to a versatile trickster. Now, that is the end of the build, but not the end of the video. We do need to talk about these spells that we have access to thanks to our arcane trickster. So here are the spells that I would recommend. You automatically get access to Mage Hand, but you also get access to 3 other cantrips. I recommend Mind Sliver, Minor Illusion, and Ray of Frost. Jason's able to use his Force abilities to create Force illusions, which is how he was able to survive an encounter with his aunt when he first became a Sith Lord. He would have been killed by his aunt if it weren't for the fact that he was able to project a Force illusion of basically his cousin. For our first level spells, we are going with Charm Person, Silvery Barbs, Cause Fear, and Catapult. For our second level spells, we are going with Hold Person, Mirror Image, and Suggestion. Yes, I did say mirror image. This is because he was able to create a Force illusion that was a duplicate of himself, which is very interesting. For our third level spells, we are going with Non-Detection and Major Image. Non-Detection is our spell of choice here because he has the ability to turn off his link to the Force. That way nobody is able to read his mind. Not just with his sister, but with anybody with connection to the Force. He can just turn his connection off. That way no one can read his Force powers. So that's pretty interesting. Now you've probably got a question for me, and that is why we have Non-Detection and Catapult on this spell list when Arcane Trickster is limited to enchantment and illusion spells. Well, we do have the ability to gain 2 spells that are not of the illusion or enchantment schools. We actually get our first one for our first level spell, and that is Catapult. We get another one later, which would have been a second level spell, but when we increase our level in Arcane Trickster, we are able to change out one of our spells that we would have gotten that aren't enchantment and illusion for another non-enchantment or non-illusion spell, which is why we got a Non-Detection as one of our spells. In case your Dungeon Master asks why you are not following rules as written, this is indeed rules as written. I made sure to check this time. Last time I did an Arcane Trickster, I messed that up. So, anyway, what did you think of this build? Let me know in the comment section below. Especially if you would like to see a build that I have not done yet, that you would like to see in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. With that being said, this has been Drayhan, and I am offline.